Good. All right, cool. What is up, everyone? My name is Tom Wedding, back here again with another podcast / live stream, whichever platform you're watching this on. Today, I have Grant Simmons with me here today. He's going to share some cool stuff. I just had a brief chat with him before this we started recording, which is he shared a ton of stuff, so I probably should have recorded earlier. But great to have you on, and excited to hear your kind of experience with the agency space, and you just shared some really valuable things with me. So I really think that what you're going to share here today is going to be really helpful to people who jump on here.
Oh, great, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Cool. So let's dive in. So tell us a little bit about you starting your agency and where you started, how you got your first few clients, because I think that's like the most valuable thing that you shared with me is like how you managed to do that and the mindset you had going into that, which I think a lot of people in their agencies need to take on board to really scale and move a bit faster than they are currently. So if you could just share a little bit about how you started, how you got your first few clients, and that mindset as well.
So let's just position this first off. I'm a bit older than the average person probably out there. I've been in this business a long time. So I was working for a bigger agency who decided that perhaps we should go virtual. At that point, I decided to start my own agency. So luckily, I got one client. I was allowed to pick one client. And so that was just a baseline. So I knew that I had some money coming in. But the obviously question is, how do I grow on that? So my first client was the city of Santa Monica. So it wasn't a small client. And we would basically, I just built a website for them. They wanted to show up. So I did some SEO for them. They have some different initiatives around the city. And so, I wanted to help them. So first thing I did is I did a great job for them. They knew me, and I asked them for referrals. Who else in that convention and visitors bureau space might be likely to need the same services? Leveraging that relationship, I got 3 or 4 other clients within that space, the city of Santa Monica and the city of San Mateo and West Hollywood and Marina del Rey. So these were all convention and visitors bureaus, very similar needs, needed websites, I needed some kind of marketing materials. So I made a niche myself in the CVB space, convention and visitors bureau space, number one. That's not enough to scale completely. So what I also did is I went out to all my friends, and I have some successful friends working for fairly large organizations, businesses. So when I said, hey, do you have any projects? Now, some of those companies are quite large. A particular organization, the YPO, Young Presidents Organization, says 10,000 folks who basically lead companies, and they have an organizational structure where they have to give education out to all these people. So my friend came to me and basically said, hey, I have this project. It's impossible. So I need you to tell me why it's impossible. So I can go back to my boss and say, it's not possible and we can't do it. And essentially it was taking 6,000 pages, building out a website, 6,000 pages, structuring it, populating it with all the content which existed, and then putting it on a CD-ROM and duplicating 1,000 CD-ROMs to give out to these various members. So I looked at the project and think at this time I have 1.5 clients bringing in maybe $600 a week, So I'm thinking, I need this project. So I look at the project and I go to, look, it's possible. It's not easy. It's possible. And she goes, well, you have 4 weeks to do it, to build this website from basically PDFs and build it out into a 6,000 page website and put it on. I go, it's possible. It's not cheap. I know if you heard the good, cheap, fast, pick 2. If you want it done in 4 weeks, it's not going to be cheap. So I just gave her a quote. I said, it's going to be $45,000. She goes, all right, you can do it. I go, yeah, I can do it. Great. Got the contract. Then I said to myself, how the hell am I going to do this? Sure, I'm a programmer, but there's only so many hours in a day. What can I do? So I immediately went out and tried and find folks that could help me. And these were people that are more like production developers, production designers that can pull it together really quickly. And so that was really the start of sleepless nights, the start of checking and double checking,
Whoop, did we lose ya?
Great references, great referrals. I basically went out and talked to my network and said, who have you used? Are they good? Are they great? And it was a husband and wife team. One was a designer, one was a developer. I still remember Dustin and Melissa. Hi, guys. And essentially, we got it done. And CD-ROM duplication. I didn't know what that was. I went out and bought a machine and made 1,000 DVDs or CDs rather, 10 at a time. But I had in my mind, I need to make money on this. I know how much I have to spend. I try to be really fair with these contractors, with these team members, to make sure that they were incentivized to get the job done. Gave them a bonus at the end of it and still made 10 grand. So at the end of the day, I think the key thing is, and what I said to you, don't say no, but be realistic. When you're building a business, one of the most important things is to actually build a book of business that will be a referral source for you. And I started off with friends. I ended up getting referrals from clients. I think if you do a great job, it's going to work out great in the long term.
Yeah.
So that's how I started that business.
Definitely. No, that's awesome. And I think like the main takeaway from that is like you need that team to deliver the results, right? Because there's already an expert who knows what they're doing, or experts who know what they're doing with that service and can deliver the result that you've guaranteed your client. Whereas if you're trying to learn all of these things yourself, you know, there's so many different variables that you have to put time and energy into learning that it just isn't possible to deliver the right result for the client that you've promised. And in turn, that makes you actually lose that client. You don't get referrals from them. It's just not good. It's not a good way to do business. And a lot of people are scared to let go of the reins a little bit and trust a team, you know, and kind of outsource to that. So I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts on, you know, how important it is to put your trust into other people, and also a little bit about maybe finding the right people and how do you kind of search for those experts, right? And find them to deliver on the result that you've promised your client. Because I think that's another one that people can get really caught up in is like, okay, where do I find the right people for this project, right? I've promised this result for this client. I've closed the deal. Now I have to find these experts to deliver. I'd love to hear kind of like what your process was moving forward with that.
Sure. I think the first thing is once you've got the team, you don't have to worry so much. So it's good to spend time to find the right people. And find the right people depends on the project. But from my perspective, if I'm doing what I consider to be an impossible project in this case, it really came down to same time zone, same language, some level of trust inherently in there. I did research. So the first 2-3 days once I got the project was research. I looked at who had recommended who. So people I trusted recommended folks. I went through their websites. I went through their LinkedIn. I went through their portfolio. You know, do not underestimate the value of social media and your website to tell people who you are. And you know, explaining who you are, videos of who you are, you know, podcasts in this case. I listened and watched and read everything about maybe 10 different companies, small companies, individuals, and really came up with what I thought was the best fit. Only then did I reach out to them and say, hey, I might have this project. Do you have time? Do you have the energy? Do you have the effort? What kind of price might it be? So, you know, when someone gave me a price, so a little strategy here. If someone comes back to you and says, I charge $100 an hour, all right, let's just use that as an example. And you know the project is going to be not difficult, not impossible, but going to be above and beyond. Say, look, I normally pay people about $90, but it sounds like you're a really good fit. I have $125 an hour in the budget. Does that work for you? All right. Build trust. Now, you're not lying. You know, you've got numbers in your head. And at the end of the day, you're not sure how many hours somebody's going to take, but you have a good estimate in your head. I think my strengths are being able to plan and big picture stuff. The smaller details, yeah, I really like micromanaging some things, but sometimes you have to let that go. You know, it ends up being what we call least imperfect. Yeah. Least imperfect is, yeah, it's when you deliver 95%, and the client's only expecting 90%. You've exceeded their expectation. That's really key. So one other thing when I was building out this team and everything else and building out my agency is I did need one person that I could throw ideas off of. All right. There is a challenge with entrepreneurs, idea machines. That's what they are. There's ideas. And normally when you're working for yourself, you can throw up against one, see what sticks. When you're working for a client, you don't want to throw shit at the client because the client ends up going back to, well, I smell like shit. What you want to do is have something internal or a trusted partner or someone. I mean, it could be your wife, your spouse, your significant other, your best mate, your beer buddies, could be anyone, but someone you can throw ideas at and you can trust. So I hired this amazing lady, Marantina, part-time, and it's like $20 an hour. She was an adjunct professor at the University of Southern California. This was a spare time gig for her, but she allowed me to focus my ideas, my pitches, what was feasible, what was possible. And she did some great designs as well for me that allowed me to do more sales, to do more prospecting, to do more customer management. Because that's really, at the end of the day, setting expectations and exceeding them is all about being able to communicate effectively. So hopefully I didn't answer it in a too roundabout way. The bottom line is building a team, crap ton of research, all right? Before you talk to anyone, you should know enough about them so you have a good conversation. Like I knew, for example, business owner versus freelancer because I've watched some of your videos, Tom. Yeah. So I think the key thing is any relationship, learn as much as you can about the prospect, the client, the potential partner, because they will appreciate that and it shows that they are somewhat special. Then just as exceeding the expectations of your customers, exceed the expectations of the people you work with, because at some point you're going to have to ask a favor.
Yeah.
And when you ask a favor, if you've built up equity, they're more likely to say yes. So hopefully that answers succinctly in a long roundabout way how I built the team, which allowed me to scale from one customer to 140 clients.
No, I think that's really a really important thing you brought up is just like, I think people as a whole, whether it's a client, partner, team member, whatever it is, I think people as a whole just want to be understood. That's the first and foremost thing. They just want to be understood, right? And that just comes down to you being a genuine person and like having that, building that trust level, like you said. And that's not just through like monetary things like, hey, we'll increase your pay rate. Hey, we'll do this for you. But it's also like going that extra mile. I think even just with like communication, for example, like just going that extra mile, like, hey, let's jump on a call every week. Let's make sure everything's going good. Let's catch up, right? Just the simple act of that, like being involved in their lives. It shows that you understand them, right? You're there to be a genuine person and really create that reputation that, I'm here to show up. I'm here to be a leader. I'm here to guide you, and guide this team, right? Instead of just being like, hey, here's the work, go and do it for me, right? Kind of thing. So I think that's really important bringing up that, for team building.
Someone said to me in a very large company, he goes, you could do my job. Because I knew so much about the company and the products and they're differentiated, everything else. That is the ideal scenario. I mean, if you are a business owner, you understand your client's business.
Yeah.
A freelancer understands the project. I think that's really the key component, the difference between being a business partner with a customer or client and just being a resource or essentially just a resource for them in a short term. Because the fact that I knew the 140 client businesses well enough takes enough time that I couldn't do day-to-day stuff to get things done. Because when you're the business owner, every single customer is a partner, sometimes a friend, and it's your next meal. And if you just treat them like $1, that doesn't work. Treat them like I don't know when you were at high school, we had a dinner lady, a lunch lady used to serve the food. When you were nice to the lunch lady, you got a little bit more peas. You know what I'm saying? A few more chips. So that's the thing. Always look after the people that feed you.
That's it. Exactly. And I think it's so important to do that because, especially for scaling as well, like building out retention systems as well is as easy as that. Like literally just being so aware of it's basically like getting inside your client's head, right? And knowing their problems inside out, knowing their struggles, their daily, common beliefs that they have, right? Knowing them inside out is like super valuable for you growing your business and your agency, especially when you niche down and you pick your niche, right? And just knowing that niche inside out, like not just the niche and how it works, but also the struggles, the frustrations that most business owners in that niche are going through. What are the different sections that they're struggling with, right? And really breaking it down and like becoming the expert, right? Because that is when for one, you can create a team that gets killer results because you know the niche inside out. And two, you can really build that retention system with your clients that want to stay around because they feel like they're being understood, right? And they feel like you can speak to them on that level where it's, I understand exactly what you're going through. Let's do this. Let's fix this. Let's do this. Let's add on this, right? And that's when you really become a problem solver in their business, and they're going to look at you as an asset, right? And the second they even think about removing you, they're like, oh crap, there's a lot of my systems are relying on this person because they're such an asset, right? They're a problem solver. And that's what I think a lot of people don't make the distinction is like, they start their agencies for all the wrong reasons. It's like, hey, I just want to make more money. If I help business owners, I can make more money. It doesn't work like that, right? You have to become a problem solver. You have to become an asset for that business so that they can see the value in continuing working with you and continuing using your services. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that kind of topic as well.
Two things, two counters to that. How's that, Tom?
Yeah.
So the first thing is knowing when to let someone go. And I'm not talking about firing them. If it's a project-based relationship and you've delivered all the value you can, you don't need to hang on, all right? You need to wrap it up and leave on good terms because they will come back if they understand the things you do. The second thing is if you can't do something, the ultimate compliment is when they come to you and they say, do you know anyone that can do this? So I didn't do in-house video, but I had a great resource that did video. And so, yeah, I managed projects that had video components with this partner. But then if they needed video, yeah, here you go. Here's the name. Here he is. Off you go. Because once again, if I need a video favor at some point in the future, I've given this guy business. And so it's not he owes me, but he's more likely to say yes to me if I need to have a favor. So the thing is to be a resource for things you aren't necessarily going to execute yourself is the ultimate compliment. Because they might come to me for a website, they might come to me for a video, they might come to me for print material, they might come for me, for a DVD or something. But if they come to me and say, oh, we need a database system reviewed, go, oh, got the perfect guy for you. Here you go, bang. That way, they look at you as an internal resource to find folks that they can't find themselves. A good example is Warner Brothers. So Warner Brothers Studios, I did this video project for them. So if you go on a video tour of the Warner Brothers Studios in Hollywood, you'll see the video that I did about being shot and how they do a shot put, which is basically the blood coming out and all that stuff. Anyway, so that project, I basically said to them, yeah, fine, done. Then they came to me and said exactly this. We have this database project. We just need someone to make sure the guy isn't BSing us. Do you know anyone? I said, well, yeah, I can help. I got a database guy and I brought him in and I project managed it. And they came to me for like 3 other projects afterwards. It's the same thing about, not saying no, but it's also a matter of having a broad swath of resources that you can rely on that have a loyalty to you, not just because you do business with them, but because you're fair with them. And you and I talked about this. I always try and be fair. I always try and make sure someone is compensated fairly for what they're doing, and then some if I can. Incentivizing people with a surprise bonus for the next time is really powerful. I think you've said it. As a business owner, you can't do everything yourself.
Yeah,
you can't. So if you're going to grow your business, how are you going to do it without people around you trust?
Exactly.
So, yeah. You can build in-house folks, that can work, but you don't need someone to do Facebook ads if you only have one client that does Facebook ads.
That's it.
That's not realistic.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to build that network. I think, just like never turning anyone down either. I think it's always have a genuine interest for people, because you never know how they're going to benefit you later down the track. And that's why I'm a big believer in like building that network. Like I send out tons of messages just to everyone out, like just totally random from people, different groups and from different places here and there, like just sending messages out to people to get to know people, because you never know how that person can benefit you, even if it's not directly related to your business ventures. Like somewhere down the track, you might need to refer them to someone, or they might refer someone to you. Like you never know what is going to happen. So I think it's so important as well. It's to build that network, especially in the agency space, like, because this whole thing, it relies on your connections. Like it relies on your connections to your clients and connections to your team and connections to people you can refer your clients to, right? And all those things, like kind of what you're talking about as well, is like having that database of people that, hey, if, all of a sudden this client needs video stuff, send it to this video guy, right? And it's there, it's organized, it's ready to go, and you have that network ready and waiting for you to use and access. And I think that's so powerful to have, because not only can you ask for favors more frequently, but you actually build a genuine connection with people, and they're more likely and more interested to do things for you. And you're more likely and interested to do things for them as well. And it works both ways. It's like reciprocation, right? It's such a big thing.
Yeah, there's one question I always ask when I do a referral. So it's normally project based. So say I'm referring a video. I say, okay, I've got this great guy. Is there any other help that I can be on this project for you? Do you need project management or anything else? If they say yes, brilliant. Say no, that's okay, fine. Just pass through. You bill him in directly. It's fine. Don't worry about that. Sometimes they come back and say, hey, well, we can't bill directly. It's a new vendor set up. So do you mind if we go through you? I go, that's fine. Normally I charge 10% markup on anything that comes through me. Would you mind if I just did 5%? Sure, no problem. So then you're making money on that referral, but upfront and transparently. I don't get kickbacks from other people. Like I said, from my standpoint, if I refer out to someone, it's because I trust them and trust they're going to do a good job with my client. And so at the end of the day, I don't ask for kickbacks, but like I said, down the road, I might need a favor, and people always remember that you've referred business. So I don't like to repeat myself too much, but a lot of business owners don't ask, can I help at all? Is there anything else that I could do for you? If not, no hassle. Hey, do you mind if I follow up with you in a couple of months? Is that cool? Yeah, no problem. Super. And then make sure you do. So the thing is, you have to know when to let someone go. They will always come back if you've done a great job. And if you are touching base frequently, to let them know you're still alive.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they don't remember. And that's the thing. If they don't remember, it's your fault. It's not their fault. It's your fault.
Exactly. Do you kind of like take that stance on most things as well, as like, not taking the blame so much, but just being more proactive about things that happen, right? And saying like, I was in control of this. Like it's my kind of fault in a way. Would you say that's really important as well with like client work, is like when things go wrong or things necessarily don't go to plan, do you kind of, just be really open and transparent about that? Or do you kind of try and cover it up and move past it? Or like, what's your kind of take on that kind of a thing?
Well, I'd be a right idiot if I try to cover it up. But yes, I get some people do, because there are some right idiots. I'll tell you a story, okay? So, now I'm in-house now. I have a full-time job, and I moonlight, and I have a couple of businesses. But we had reached out to this company, and we had basically said, an agency, so we need this work done. This is the parameters. This is criteria. They wrote it up in a document. We signed it. We agreed. Project started. They came back after a month and said it was a little bit more work than we thought it would be. It's going to be X amount more money. So they never got my business again, ever. and I pulled the project from them. I'd already paid them off. I said, look, I don't do business with people like that. If they would have come to me after a week and said, look, we've looked at this and we're really sorry. We think we underestimated this based on time. We can bill you, it's going to be a little bit more, but we'll bill it over 6 months as opposed to 2 months. And we'll have set timelines, set deliverables, set milestones. And if we don't meet them, we will give back that money. If someone said that to me, I'm going to go, yes, all right, thank you. But if someone comes back after a period of time and says, no, we did it wrong with that, you cannot do that. As an agency owner, you are where the buck stops. And when you're dealing with clients, the client is always right. I hate that phrase. They're not always right. But the client's always right until they're proven to be an idiot. And if that's the case, if they're an idiot, you make sure everything is right at your end and you make sure they're taken care of. If it means giving money back. And I've luckily, I'm trying to think, I've never had to give money back. I've always done something a little bit more to make sure they're happy, because once a referral is worth $1 million, potentially. And so from that standpoint, I always try and make it right. And even if that means saying, here's your money back, off I go. I've never had to do that, but I've definitely had to give more time to a project when I've underestimated it. So I think that's the kind of story is, communication is key. When you start a project, you have defined milestones, defined touch points, defined timeline, and you stick to it. My word is my bond's never had more importance than when you're dealing with once again, someone that's feeding you. Once you get their mentality of this person is actually paying my bills, you tend to look at them as a little bit different. It's not a money pit. It's a relationship. It's fairness. I wouldn't say it's like having your mum and dad feeding you, but it's like having someone, offering you a meal. Treat them with respect.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's a really good place to end this, is just like respect. I think really, really important.
I'll drink to that. Thank you.
I'll drink to that too. That's the one of the most important things in business is just like respect for your peers, your partners in business, your clients, like whoever you work with. If you can just be genuine, respectful, honest, open, transparent all the way through your process, no matter what you're doing, what business you're doing, what business venture you're doing. Like if you can just keep those few things on board, I think you'll have a really easy time to make relationships, build relationships, make new clients, get referrals, all of that stuff. So I really appreciate you jumping on and sharing some of your insights. It's really, I think some of this stuff can definitely benefit people in just changing mindset and just thinking about things a little bit differently. Thanks for jumping on, Grant.
Hey, more than welcome, Tom. Well, you have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. I'll catch you later.
Cheers.